Hello everybody, my name is Katie, welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I am officially done with my first year of P1 year, so I'm done with my first year of grad school, which is very exciting. I'm exhausted. It's Thursday, August 4th for reference, in case you're wondering when, because this will go up on Sunday. But yeah, so I figured it'd be the perfect time to go ahead and start off with a, what's it called? How I studied and took notes back then versus now. And yeah, it's gonna be exciting, it's gonna be fun, I guess. I don't know. It's a good for preparation for this coming upcoming school year. And so I just want to preface this with the way to study and take notes. Really, there's not like a set definitive way that you should do these things. It kind of just depends on, first off, the subject matter, because I feel like different subject matters you do things differently. Like for example, math, you're gonna do a lot of practice problems, like, you know, stuff like that. But it depends on subject matter. Also depends on your learning style and stuff. So it does take a lot to find out, kind of like trial and error, I guess. So just keep that in mind. But for me, I noticed that my studying techniques in undergrad did not work in pharmacy school. And I found that out in the very first semester of pharmacy school, because I wasn't really retaining anything. Like, it was just way too much information overload. It was a lot different compared to undergrad. And so it took some adjustments, but I think I finally came up with a method that works. So I'm gonna go ahead and share the differences, and maybe the undergrad method will work better for you than my graduate method. Who knows? But I'm here to share both of them with you. So we're gonna go ahead and first start off with undergrad. And so undergrad, I used a combination of Notability and GoodNotes. Those are the two apps that I used. I already had Notability from high school. My high school just required us to download it, so I already had Notability. And going into college, I was like, I kind of want to try GoodNotes because I was doing research and stuff, and I liked the features of it better at the time. This was like math 3 years ago, around this time, 2019, around this time, yeah, 3 years ago. So I was doing research and I was like, ooh, I like the features of that. And back then, Notability and had a lot less updates than it has now. But yeah, so I used a combination of these two, and I'll go into that why that is. Sorry, my brain's a little fried from my finals. I had one this morning. So looking into Notability here, it looks a little bit different than it would have if I were taking the classes, because these are all undergrad classes, which is in the past for me. And so you can kind of just see them on the left-hand side of the screen though. So I'm gonna go through bio, or this is micro here. I feel like this is a good example. So yeah, I have, how do I start this? So in class itself, professors uploaded their slides to campus, and then I would download the slides and then take notes directly on the slides in class. So let's go ahead and go to fungal infection. Oh, actually, I don't know if I can put this on the internet. I might have to blur stuff out. I think it's fine if I show you one slide. So for example, on this slide, my notes aren't the neatest. I just kind of scribble because, you know, the professor is going fast and I need to get down the information. So I'm just scribbling and writing and adding stuff to the slides. So that's what I did in undergrad. And then that was during class. So then after I get back home from class, I go into GoodNotes, which would be, oh my gosh, math. Fall 2021, no, spring 2021 is where we're at. Yeah, this is undergrad. So micro, right? So we're on viruses. Sure, this is exactly, so for example, what I would do is I would have the PowerPoint notes up on my computer, for example, and then I'd have my iPad here, which is what I'm screen recording on. And then what I would do is I would basically rewrite everything. I would rewrite everything. I had like, as you saw like back there, I had like notebooks for each class, so I had everything organized. And then I have each title bookmarked, as you can see in the top left hand corner, so I can easily like see the bookmark pages and see, oh, like here for example, you know, these are the topics. And so yeah, I would just literally rewrite everything. I had a system for colors as well, like the subtitles would be in the blue, like dark bluish, and then I would underline that. And then the super subtitles under that would be italicized in a light blue. And then any like important vocab word or any important word, maybe like increase or decrease, like ooh, you know, I would put that in red so it kind of stands out. And rewriting all of these things in like your own words helps with like retention and stuff instead of just directly copying from the slide. And the reason why I rewrote everything is because for me, writing helps me remember. So, because it takes a while. So one thing about this is it does take a long while. It does take a lot of time. I'm just glancing over at my notes on the side here so that I make sure I don't miss anything. But yeah, I literally rewrote everything into these notes. It includes the type stuff from the professors and the handwritten stuff from my stuff that you saw. I would screenshot and crop the pictures and then insert them into the slides so that I could zoom in and be like, ooh, yes, let's look at this one, you know, like, let's study that. So that kind of is basically how I did my notes. My notes just all look like this. They look very nice and pretty. I'm a very aesthetic, I guess, person, or like meticulous. I don't know the word, but I like to make things pretty. So yeah. As for how I studied in undergrad, so it obviously depended on the class. It also kind of differed for me a little bit because all of my undergrad pretty much was online because I was only in 2 years of undergrad. I started in fall of 2019. COVID hit in the like very beginning of 2020, so I really only had fall 2019 in person, and then everything else was online. So it was kind of different for me because a lot of the classes I got to use notes and stuff. So but generally how I would study is part of my studying is rewriting the notes, and then once I rewrote the notes, I would kind of go through the notes and like read them out loud as if I were like teaching somebody, for example, because teaching somebody is a really effective way to like say, oh, I know this part, or oh, I don't know this part, I don't know what I'm talking about. So that's what I would do. And then what else did I do? I guess for a class like OChem where there's a lot of structures that you have to memorize, I would create like flashcards for that. And OChem also has a lot of practice problems, so for that I would just do a bunch of practice problems from like the textbook and draw all the reaction mechanisms, all that kind of stuff, kind of getting triggered as I'm thinking about it. But that's generally my undergrad studying. Nothing too crazy. I did study a lot though, but yeah, so that's kind of it. Like very, you know, I think typical, I would say. Maybe not that rewriting everything isn't typical, but that's just something that kind of helps me. So that's what I did. And so I guess I can go ahead and move on to the graduate side of things. I've had 1 year of experience with this kind of stuff. So I guess I'm gonna move over to my computer here. I have my school computer. We got computers like with the school. So let me go ahead and start screen recording. So what I do for pharmacy school. So I'll tell you a little story first. I try to do this type of stuff I try to do my undergrad type of studying in pharmacy school, and I quickly found out that did not work. That wasn't gonna work. It wasn't effective. I was wasting way too much time. Like, it wasn't working. So I quickly had to adapt and find out how I need to study because there's so much information that's being thrown at you. It's ridiculous, and it's a lot different than undergrad. I don't know how to describe the difference. If you've been through it, you know what I mean. If you don't, consider yourself lucky, I guess. But yeah, so I started using Notion. in grad school. I didn't really use it too much first semester. I should actually go on the pharmacy school page. I didn't use it too much in the first semester, but semester 2 I started using it a lot more and on. And I just finished semester 3, which is already halfway through the didactic portion, which is crazy. Anyways, so I like to make things aesthetic, as I stated earlier. So there's that. But as you can see, like if I click on semester 1, for example, I have all of my classes here that I took there. Semester 2, I have all of my classes that I took there. And I have like cute little things on the side, like little breaks, like when the breaks are for school, and then like a little reminder and stuff. And then here for semester 3, I have all my classes, same thing. So this is the one I just finished, so yay, I did all these classes. So yeah, I made a Notion. If I click on a class, for example, I'll just click on PK, sure, it's the first one. I have the exams that we have, when they are, and then I have all of like the notes that I took here, and then like study materials and stuff, like Quizlets that I make. So that's basically how I organize my Notion. But the apps that I use for graduate school include Notion, PowerPoint, and Quizlet. So 3 different, like I didn't really use any of these in undergrad, except for Quizlet. I use that a little bit, but I use it religiously now. So yeah. So how I specifically take notes in class, I guess I should probably open PowerPoint. Once again, I'm probably gonna have to blur a lot of things because I shouldn't be distributing my notes online. So once it ever decides to open, I can get on with stuff. Okay, so for example, here I have a PowerPoint open, right? This is for a class that I took for this semester or whatever. So something that I did a lot different is I still take notes directly on the PowerPoint, but it's not by myself anymore. And also it's through PowerPoint, but it's not by myself anymore. That's the main key I'm getting to here. I collaborate with 3 other friends of mine, and basically we all just, like, we sit in class, right? And then we all write. So we will all write things that the professor says. And obviously when you're writing something, you're probably gonna miss something else that the professor is saying while you're writing something. So it helps to have somebody else who will catch that while you're writing something and will write that down. So you get all of the notes from the professor that they're saying. And so like this slide is an example of that. You can see like there's a bunch of different handwritings. And so we all like selected different things and wrote down different things and stuff. So yeah, that's one thing that's different. It definitely helps a lot to make sure that you get every single bit of information. It's really effective. Sometimes you do write the same thing though, but like it's not that big of a deal. Very easy fix. So that's what I do. I write notes on here. And then when it comes time to study, what I do is I go through each slide individually. I go through at a lecture at a time, right? So if this exam has 9 lectures on it, I take it 1 lecture at a time. I go through lecture 1 and I say, okay, I'm gonna go through each slide. I am going to like write down all these important things, commit them to memory. And so what I do is I make a Quizlet, okay? So I make a Quizlet of all of the important things. So for example, on this slide here, we have that ferrous sulfate is 20% elemental iron. That's very important. We need to know these percentages, right? So in my Quizlet, I will like write down, for example, list the percentage of elemental iron in, and then I would list all these substances, right? And then on the term side, I would have all those percentages. And so when it comes time to study, once I finish going through the lecture and listening to the lecture as well, which is nice to clarify any, oh, I didn't understand this, so I'm gonna listen to this lecture and I'm gonna make sure I understand it. So once I go through the entire lecture, then I take it to Quizlet and I go ham. I type like crazy. Sometimes if I can't understand a certain concept too, like before I go to the Quizlet, what I do is I type it out a bazillion times in my notes app, like just, you know, your notes app on like your Mac or whatever, and just type it out a bazillion times. Sometimes I do that because my exams are on the computer. So if you type it out, you'll like remember it when you type it out, like on the computer. You get what I mean? Because like in undergrad, exams were on paper, so you would write things out so that you would it's the same sort of like writing method, right? And so I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so I would just type it out. And then for diagrams and stuff, like if there's a diagram that I need to completely understand, I would just draw it a bazillion times on my iPad. Like I would just draw it a bazillion times, make sure I ingrain that thing into my head. Yeah, I did that today or yesterday, studying for the exam today. That was fun. But yeah, so I would make Quizlets. Active recall is a really powerful tool. I use that to study. And I learned that's the most effective way to study, because then you're like, oh, I actually don't know this as well as I thought I did, right? When you're prompted with the question, you have to actually verbally say or type the answer. That's another thing. I type the answers into the Quizlet, or actually, since Quizlet did that update where they only allow you to go through the learn function like 3 times or something, I just use the flashcards function, and then I type into like my notes app the answer, and then I click the flashcard. I say whether I got it right or I got it wrong. So that's what I do. Yeah, testing yourself, very important, valuable tool. Yes, do that. Highly recommend. And so how this relates to my Notion here is, right, so I would copy all the links. I would say basically what I would do is on the PowerPoint, I would say share, and then, sorry, I just saw the exam 3 got posted for a class. Whew, I gotta wrap this up. Or actually I want to check right now. Sorry, give me a second. Okay, never mind. The assignments posted, but the grades are not out yet. Okay, I'm very on edge right now. This is the exam I took this morning. Anyways, I would say share, and I would copy the link, and then I would go to my Notion and paste the link on the text that I wrote for the lecture, and I would write down like what day this lecture happened on, just so I can get a better idea of things. And then for the Quizlets and stuff, like obviously for this class, this is PK, so a lot of it's math, so like you can't really like make Quizlets too much except for like term-based stuff. So these were the only ones that I could make Quizlets out of. The rest of them I just had to do a bunch of math practice. But yeah, so what I would do is I would make my Quizlet. I put it on only people with a password can view, and then I paste it into here. So then there we go. That's how I use my Notion to organize everything. And then that especially helps for cumulative exams, because like basically all of my finals were cumulative this semester. So I was able to relook at those Quizlets, and I have the links all right here, like into, if I just click on the class, like I have everything I need right here. So it's really helpful and useful. So yeah, that's basically how I study for all the things. It took a lot of trial and error. It also took a good friend to kind of help me with a lot of this process, because I had a hard time figuring it out myself. So hopefully I can pass this knowledge onto you so that you can use it and that it'll help. So that's about it. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. I have a lot of other school videos. If you're interested, I'll go ahead and link the playlist in the corner. I forget which one. Yeah, you think I'd know that after doing it for almost 5 years, but I don't. But yeah, in the corner, also in the description box below. I post videos every single Sunday, and I will see you back again next week. Bye.